Before the Hollywood millions and action star fame, Mark Wahlberg was a rapper. Marky Mark, the kid flashing abs in Calvin Klein ads. He had zero acting experience, no training, just a wild reputation and a six-pack. So how did he land his first movie? Pure chaos. The director of Renaissance Man, Penny Marshall, saw Wahlberg in a Calvin Klein billboard and thought, I want this wild Boston kid in my film. No audition, no acting reel. The guy went from mugshots to movie set overnight. He thought acting was just a side hustle until this fluke gig opened Hollywood's doors wider than any song ever could. After stumbling his way through Renaissance Man, Mark Wahlberg landed in The Basketball Diaries, a gritty flick about drug addiction and teenage chaos alongside Leonardo DiCaprio. But behind the scenes, the chaos wasn't just scripted, it was very real. To prepare for the role, Mark took method acting to another level. He spent weeks shadowing real junkies, wandering New York's back alleys, watching heroin deals go down, and crashing in filthy drug dens. Even crazier, in the film's intense basketball scenes, Wahlberg got so heated during takes, he accidentally broke Leonardo DiCaprio's nose with an elbow. Leo was left bloody-faced and stunned. After playing sidekick roles, Wahlberg finally got his big break, Fear. His first ever Hollywood lead role, and his first big paycheck, too. For playing a charming psychopath, he banked $250,000. Not millions yet, but for a Boston street kid, it felt like winning the lottery. Next came Traveler, the movie that MGM buried alive. Even with Wahlberg, Bill Paxton, and Julianne Margulies leading the cast, the studio barely marketed it, then tossed it into theaters like an afterthought. Mark himself later admitted it got lost in the shuffle, and joked the whole thing felt cursed. Financially, the film vanished faster than its director, Jack N. Green, Clint Eastwood's legendary cinematographer, who mysteriously never directed another feature after this. Then came Boogie Nights, the movie that changed everything. Wahlberg scored the lead as Dirk Diggler, a role so wild and risky, he almost turned it down. But the gamble paid off. The film became a cult classic, tripled its budget at the box office, and put Mark on the A-list overnight. Behind the scenes, Wahlberg wore a prosthetic so legendary it made crew members break character, and he spent weeks researching the adult film world to nail every awkward detail. For his trouble, a paycheck just north of $1 million, and an instant reputation for fearless roles. His next stop, Three Kings, and this one took intense to a whole new level. In one infamous interrogation scene, Wahlberg actually asked to be tied up and tortured for real, just to see how much he could take. He later admitted it was one of the most painful experiences of his life, but that's the commitment that set him apart. After the sandstorms of Three Kings, Wahlberg took a left turn, straight into indie territory, with The Yards. No big paycheck, no explosions. In fact, he took a major pay cut, less than $1 million, to work with director James Gray, chasing critical cred over cash. The Yards bombed hard, making barely over $1 million worldwide. But for Mark, it was about respect, not receipts. After this, Wahlberg went full 80s glam in Rockstar, trading crime dramas for hair metal and leather pants. He played a tribute band singer who lands the ultimate dream, fronting his favorite band. But the real shock, Mark actually sang most of his own vocals in the film, channeling his inner rock god, even if he admitted to being completely out of his element. The movie itself was a financial faceplant, a $57 million budget, but it barely cleared $19 million worldwide. Still, for Wahlberg, it was all about proving he could transform, no matter how wild, loud, or mullet-heavy the role. Next came The Truth About Charlie, and Wahlberg only got the part after a Hollywood game of musical chairs. First, it was Tom Cruise, then Will Smith, but both bailed, leaving Wahlberg as the last man standing. He went from backup plan to leading man overnight. Too bad the movie itself flopped hard. $60 million budget, barely $7 million at the box office. After weathering a box office wipeout in The Truth About Charlie, Wahlberg needed a win, and Detroit delivered. Four Brothers was pure grit. Wahlberg as Bobby Mercer, the kind of character you'd cross the street to avoid, leading a ragtag crew on a revenge mission. The movie doubled its budget, raking in nearly $100 million worldwide, and brought Wahlberg's swagger roaring back. This time, he wasn't a studio's backup plan. He was the guy setting the tone. With Four Brothers, Wahlberg had finally reclaimed his tough guy crown, but Hollywood still didn't see him as a serious actor. That's when fate and Martin Scorsese came calling. Suddenly, Mark went from street brawls in Detroit to the snake pit of Boston crime, stepping straight into the madness of The Departed. He almost turned it down. The part was small, buried in a cast of heavyweights, but Scorsese had other ideas. He handed Wahlberg a blank check for chaos and told him to make the most of it. Mark took the challenge, lobbed unfiltered insults at DiCaprio, Damon, and Nicholson, and left everyone on set scrambling to keep up. And just like that, in less than 15 minutes of screen time, Wahlberg didn't just hold his own, he stole the movie, bagged his first Oscar nomination, and cemented himself as Boston's angriest legend. After leveling up as Boston's angriest cop, Wahlberg found himself running from killer plants. The Happening was supposed to be M. Night Shyamalan's big comeback, but Mark knew something was off from day one. He played a high school science teacher who spends most of the movie whispering to trees and fleeing invisible toxins. Even he couldn't keep a straight face. Behind the scenes, the vibes were weird. Wahlberg took the role for the paycheck, then spent years roasting the movie in interviews, calling it a really bad film and admitting he regretted it instantly. There's even a clip of him telling Amy Adams, "You dodged a bullet not being in this movie." It bombed with critics, became an accidental comedy, and left everyone, including Shyamalan, scratching their heads. Sometimes you chase the bag and end up running from the grass. But Wahlberg's next move? He ran straight into the shadows of Max Payne, where things got even darker. Max Payne saw Wahlberg going full noir, gun-toting, brooding, and living out a video game fever dream. He trained with live ammo, binged the games, and aimed for cult classic status. Instead, the critics shredded it, but the real pain was at the box office. The film barely doubled its $35 million budget, landing as a mid-tier disappointment. Still, Wahlberg pocketed a cool 7 figures. His next fight, it was way more personal, and he put everything on the line to win. The Fighter wasn't just a movie. It was Wahlberg's 4-year passion project. He trained like a real boxer, dropped millions of his own money to keep it afloat, and turned down fat Hollywood checks just to get it made his way. At one point, the movie nearly collapsed. Directors quit, Christian Bale almost bailed, and even Wahlberg's own family started drama on set. But Wahlberg refused to lose. He demanded real punches, no stunt doubles, and lived in the ring for months. The gamble paid off. The Fighter cost $25 million to make and punched out over $129 million worldwide, racking up Oscar wins and putting Wahlberg's name in awards season lights. From the boxing ring to Boston comedy, Wahlberg flipped the script with Ted. Acting alongside a foul-mouthed CGI teddy bear, it sounded insane, But the gamble paid off. Ted cost $50 million, made a staggering $549 million worldwide, and scored Wahlberg a $7.5 million payday. Turns out, all he needed for a blockbuster was a talking bear and zero shame. After making bank with The Bear, Wahlberg leveled up again, this time trading Boston sarcasm for Michael Bay mayhem. Transformers: Age of Extinction was pure blockbuster chaos. Explosions, robot dinosaurs, and Wahlberg sprinting through cities with a space gun. Wahlberg was paid around $17 million. The movie's budget soared past $210 million, and it exploded at the box office, raking in over $1.1 billion worldwide. Mark joked that he spent most of the shoot running from imaginary robots, only to find out later that every scene was a potential meme. If you thought one robot apocalypse was enough, Wahlberg doubled down for Transformers: The Last Night. The explosions got bigger, the plot made less sense, and his paycheck got fatter. Over $17 million up front, plus back end that pushed his haul north of $40 million. The film cost $217 million, but was the lowest grossing in the series. Still, $605 million worldwide isn't exactly pocket change. Mark later admitted he only came back for the payday, saying, "This is the last one, I'm out." And if we're talking paydays, Spencer Confidential takes the crown. No contest. It's the biggest single movie check Wahlberg's ever cashed. This time, Wahlberg ditched the robots, but kept the chaos, teaming up with director Peter Berg for a buddy cop Netflix brawler set in his hometown. The gig was pure streaming era gold. Wahlberg pocketed a reported $30 million, making it one of his biggest paydays ever. No box office receipts needed, Spencer Confidential instantly became one of Netflix's most watched originals, proving Wahlberg could rule Boston, theaters, and even your living room. If you're hooked on the wild rides, paychecks, and behind-the-scenes madness of Mark Wahlberg's career, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment. Which Wahlberg movie has the craziest story? You pick it. We'll spill the secrets next.